Greetings and salutations, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the channel. In this video, I'm going to be talking through the best loadouts to use in various game modes in the final. So we're going to start off with World Tour, and we're going to go through the best loadouts to use for that, and then we're going to talk about Terminal Attack afterwards. So if I hop on over to my contestants, for World Tour, you're probably going to want to mainly be playing heavy and medium. Medium and heavy are still going to be the best bet to use in World Tour. The meta hasn't really changed there. Lights do have a little bit more use to them than they used to, mainly because of the sonar grenades. But heavy and medium is still going to be where it's at, and the meta here isn't going to have changed so much. I think Charge and Slam is still the best. And then Mesh Shield, Goo Gun, and Winch Claw are all still very solid. Mesh Shield is obviously going to be the most useful if you're like stacking with friends or whatever. That's going to be useful. If you're not, if you're solo queuing, probably not going to be as good. And then Goo Gun and Winch Claw are both pretty solid. You can both use them quite creatively. They're both good at, you know, moving the cash out round and kind of defending areas and all that kind of stuff, and using them kind of uniquely, I would say. But I think Charge and Slam is still going to be your best bet. For the weapon, Lewis got an M60, got nerfed. They both are a little bit more rough to use now. Flamethrower is still just really, really easy and really, really solid. It's just a very good pick. MGL32, SA1216, Sledgehammer, all three of those are very solid if you can use them well. Spear and the KS23, I think, are just kind of worse versions of the Sledgehammer and the SA1216. KS23 is pretty unique, but it does have a lot of, what's it called, bloom. It's got a lot of bloom on it, so it's going to be hard to hit those shots at longer ranges. So you might as well just use the Lewis gun or something if you want a long-range weapon, but if you don't, then just go with the Flamethrower. I think the Flamethrower is just going to be, like, the best, most well-rounded weapon for medium to close ranges, though. It's, like, just very, very solid, and you can hit multiple people at once with it as well. And also, you don't have to be that good at aiming, because you literally don't have to aim it. There's no visual recoil, there's no recoil pattern, you just point and shoot, and then the flame happens. So I think it's definitely just really, really easy to use, and also very good. For the gadgets, this isn't going to have changed at all this season. RPG is still super powerful, Dome Shield is still super powerful, and Barricades are still very, very solid as well. You don't have to put Barricades on. You can kind of go with something else here if you want to, like if you're pairing the Anti-Gravity Cube with the Winch Claw, for example, or even the Goo Gun, you could try and make some plays with that. You can try and pair and mix and match different specializations with different gadgets, but because I have Charge and Slam on, which is kind of, you know, basic, this is the loadout that I like. So I kind of like bursting into an area with a Charge and Slam, maybe get some damage on someone, RPG them, get them really super low, kill them, finish them off with the Flamethrower, and then barricade the area and fortify it with the Dome Shield and the Barricades, and then steal the cash out and, you know, get ready for that third party. But that's going to be my go-to heavy loadout, and you can see on the reserve, I basically have all of these weapons because I'm not going to switch out my RPG Dome Shield or Barricades. The only thing I might switch out if I'm feeling fancy is one of these weapons for the Flamethrower. So that's going to be my heavy loadout. Now we're going to go on to the medium. Yeah, I was messing around a little bit with the dual blades, but that's not gonna really cut it. For the weapon, AKM or the revolver or Model 1887. That's what I would go for. So AKM, Model 1887, or the revolver are gonna be your best bets. FAMAS is fine. It's just I find it a little bit harder to use than the AKM, and the FCER is just worse than the AKM all round. So there's really not much point in using it. I think its time to kill is like 0.01 seconds faster when killing some of the classes, but it never gets more than that, and it's got like a harder recoil pattern and a lower mag size. So I would just go with the AKM. I think it's just a better weapon. And the FAMAS you can use if you really want it, but I just personally prefer the AKM. And I think the AKM's more kind of solid. Sometimes using a burst weapon is like a higher skill ceiling, and it's probably not going to be for you, but it's much easier to aim and control the weapon when you're holding it down. So I would go for the AKM if you want like a kind of shoot gun, and then if you don't want a shoot gun, if you want a semi-auto gun, I would go for the R.357 if you can aim it. Very powerful. The iron sights still aren't fantastic on it, but if you can hit your shots, it's very, very good. And the Model 1887 is also very, very, very solid, super useful against lights in certain game modes. So any of those three you can go for. I'd stay away from pretty much everything else, but you can use the FAMAS if you want to. And then we come to the gadgets. You're gonna probably want either zipline or jump pad on. They're both super useful. And just having some type of movement for your team is going to be very, very useful. Along with the defibrillator, this is a no-brainer. If you're playing heavy, put the RPG on. If you're playing medium, put the defibrillator on. And of course, we're running the healing beam because it's just simply the best specialization for the medium. Guardian turret really isn't that good, and dematerializer is fine. You can use it kind of uniquely, you can use it creatively, but the healing beam is just going to be the best thing. Then you've got this kind of third slot here. Well, it's on my second slot. And you can kind of put whatever you want here. I like frag grenades just so I can be, deal a little bit more damage. You can go with APS turret if you want to. You can go with, some mines if you want to, some goo grenades if you want to. You can even like go with zipline and jump pad and have like mega movement, but I just like the frag grenades so I can deal a little bit of extra damage in there at some time. So like this is probably what my loadout would look like for most of my matches as a medium. And then, if you are playing light in Worlds Tour, which I wouldn't recommend, even though I kind of do it a lot, I guess you don't get anything for losing, right? But it is going to be best to play medium and heavy. But if you are playing light in World Tour, if you can aim them, the recurve bow and the SR-84 are both really good. They're both very, very solid picks, but you do have to be quite good to make them worthwhile. You can't just sit on a house and camp and let your teammates kind of die and then you try and snipe everyone else. That's not going to cut it for most games. You can try and run it if you want, but if you're not good, if you don't know how to use it, you're probably not going to be able to do so much with it. But if you can aim it, the SR-84 and the recurve bow are both going to be pretty solid. I would stay away from the 9.3R, the V9S, and instead I would go with either the XP54, the M11, or the SH1900. All three of these are going to be super solid. XP54 best at kind of long ranges, or medium ranges rather, and the M11 is just, you don't have to aim down sights with it pretty much, and it's just very solid. It shoots very, very straight. Doesn't have much spread when you're shooting at all. So very, very solid for up close and personal work. And then the SH1900 does 2-shot heavies and mediums and 1-shot slides, but you have to be like very, very good to make this worthwhile. So that's going to be very good as well if you can aim it. If you can make the deco work, then you're probably a very good player. So keep on keeping on with that. The sword's really solid still. The sword's like very, very good if you can use it effectively, probably with the evasive dash. Throwing knives are okay. They can be good if you can hit every single shot, but it's going to be a little bit difficult to do that. The LH1 is fine now. It was kind of broken before it was nerfed, but now it has been nerfed, and now it's just kind of okay again. If you can use it, go ahead. But something else, I think if you're like a high skill player, something else is probably going to be better, like be it the SR-84, the XP54. And if you're like a lower skill player, you're probably going to have an easier time using something that isn't this. So I'd say this is in like a weird spot right now, but if you like it, hey, go ahead and use it. So there's a lot of options for light. Light probably has the most options for solid weapons. And I would stay away from the 9.3R and the V9S, mainly because like the XP54, M11, or SH1900, like one of those are just going to do a better job of what these do, or even the LH1, like one of those are just going to do a better job. So I just stay away from both of those. And then for the specialization, cloaking device is pretty solid, but a lot of people are running sonar grenades, and yeah, well, a lot of people are running sonar grenades now, which kind of cancels out the specialization. You can still use it if you want, though. It is like very, very good. And then, of course, evasive dash is going to be your main other option. Just very, very solid for, quickly getting around the map. Grappling hook, I just wouldn't use it. Evasive dash is just better. I'm quite surprised this wasn't buffed at all this season. At least I don't think it was. So then for gadgets, sonar grenade you're probably going to want on. Just super duper useful for any game, really, regardless of the game mode. This obviously is still focusing on World Tour, but sonar grenades are going to be very, very good and helpful to your teammates as well, which this is like the only thing the light can do to help their teammates, really. For the gadgets, I like pyro grenade and goo grenade. What I do here is like I'll throw goo at a cash out station and try and goo a lot of it off, and then if someone starts stealing, I'll throw the pyro grenade so that it catches the goo on fire and the enemies presumably take lots and lots of damage in there. So I like that. I kind of like comboing the pyro and the goo. Can also go for gateway, though. Gateway is still super handy for, opening a vault, throwing a gateway by the vault, and then throwing the other gateway by the cash out station, and instantly transferring the vault. That can come in pretty clutch in a lot of games. Thermal bore can be solid as well. Vanishing bomb, solid. Breach charge, solid. I've seen a couple people using the stun gun. I would probably stay away from it though, but you can use it if you want. You can also pair like thermal vision and the smoke grenades if you want. Smoke grenades got buffed this season as well. Gas grenade, frag grenade, glitch grenade, all those are fine. I would stay away from flashbangs and perhaps the stun gun. and then the rest is kind of up to you. But like stun gun really isn't going to be that fantastic. Maybe in World Tour it's okay, actually. You know what? The only thing I'd stay away from is flashbang, and everything else is kind of up to you, but I would put the sonar grenades on. So that's going to be it for light. So now we're going to talk about the terminal attack game mode, the ranked terminal attack game mode is what we're going to talk about here. So I'm going to, I guess we'll just do light again. So for terminal attack, I have had the most success with either getting in, dealing a bunch of damage real quick, and then getting out, or staying far away so it's harder for the enemies to hit you. So SH-1900 up close is going to, well, actually, you know what? Well, no, never mind. Yeah. So SH-1900 up close is going to dish out loads of damage against the enemies, and the sniper from far away is also going to dish out loads of damage on enemies. And in ranked, you're going to be facing off against mainly lights, because that's actually the meta in ranked. So if you do have something that can one-shot someone with a headshot, be it the bow or the sniper, that's going to be very useful if you can actually headshot them, of course. So SR-84, recurve bow, both are super, super powerful. Even if you don't headshot them, next time you hit them with like a fully charged shot or just a body shot with the sniper, they'll die. So if you hit them once, they'll only regen 100 HP if it's a light, right? And if you hit them again, they're just going to die. So you only have to land 2 shots on someone if they're a light to kill them with either of these weapons, which is super powerful. And then, you know, XP54, M11, SH-1900, sword. Well, maybe not the sword. Maybe you'd want to stay away from the sword a little bit more in this game mode, because if you don't have 150 HP, if you get hit by something and you only have 100 HP, you are a little bit less tanky and you're going to go out a little bit quicker. So if an enemy hits you with some gas and shoots you like once or something, you're probably going to die. So I think the sword would be a little bit harder to use in this game mode than it would in World Tour. But apart from that, I think everything else would be the same. Like SR-84, recurve bow, SH-1900, XP54, M11. I think all of those are going to be pretty solid. Now, yeah, and then the specialization, cloaking device and evasive dash are both, again, going to be very, very solid. Cloaking device is going to be less useful, I find, because a lot of people are going to be running thermal vision, which kind of highlights the cloaking device people as well. So just do be aware of that. I do like my evasive dash. I know a lot of people like cloaking device. Really is just up to you, and I'd stay away from the grappling hook in this game, but it's not going to offer a whole lot. For the gadgets, like I said, I would be putting on thermal vision instead of the Q grenade, because you only have a certain amount of gadgets in this game mode, but thermal vision, you can just keep turning it on and off as much as you want. So it's basically like having an extra specialization almost, but one that's just kind of poor. But it's if you're playing against invisible lights, which a lot of people are at kind of higher elos than I am right now, because I haven't played much ranked, thermal vision is going to be very, very, very useful. Then for your third slot, this is really up to you. I like my pyro nades. You know, gas grenades almost do the same thing. Frag grenade, glitch grenade, gateway, even. Maybe not gateway. Maybe gateway isn't actually going to be that good in this game mode. But thermal bore, breach charge, vanishing bomb, all of that is fine. Third slot's pretty much going to be the same as it was before. You can even pair this with the smoke grenades if you want, because I already have thermal vision on, because it's much more useful in this game mode, because there's many more lights. So you can even put smoke grenades on here and try and pair it with that if you want to. And I do like my sniper, but I've talked about the weapons already. So yeah, I'm gonna say, well, I'll get to medium in a second. So heavy for this game mode. Charge and slam is very solid, because there's going to be a lot of lights. I think you only have to hit them twice with the charge and slam and they'll die. So that's going to be very powerful. Flamethrower isn't really going to cut it. So light definitely is the meta. You should probably just be playing light in this game mode, but I'm gonna go through medium and heavy anyway, just in case you don't want to play light in ranked for some reason, even though it's probably gonna be the best thing. So for the heavy, you're probably not going to want the flamethrower. You're probably going to want... Yeah, you're not going to want the flamethrower, you're not going to want the spear, you're not going to want the sledgehammer. So you're going to want the MGL-32, I think would be quite solid in this game mode. The Lewis gun, I'd stay away. I think the Lewis gun is still better than the M60. So the MGL-32, the Lewis gun, KS-23, or the SA-1216. I think those are going to be your options for this game mode. Again, KS-23 is going to be awkward to use, but if you can hit your shots with it, hey, that's fine by me and probably your teammates as well. So that's what I would go for in this game mode. I think there's going to be more useful. Any weapon that can dish out a little bit of damage quickly, or like lots of burst damage, is going to be better than something that deals out damage over time, which the flamethrower would do. And the spear and the sledgehammer, even though they'd be burst damage, they're just going to be harder to use in this game mode, because you're not going to be able to tank if you're at 100 HP, so you're not going to be able to get close to them, which means you're just going to die. So that's what I would do for the weapons. Charge and Slam is, I've said this already, but you can go with Charge and Slam, that's fine. Winch Claw, you can go with it, might be good for pulling a light towards you and then finishing them off with whatever weapon you're using. Goo Gun, still good for defending areas. Mesh Shield, still good if you're defending with teammates, so this is kind of up to you. The specialization is pretty much the same, I would say. For the gadgets, RPG, even though you only have one use, is still going to be super powerful. Dome Shield, if you use it well, if you time it really, really well at like a very important moment, then you can make this work, but I would consider changing this. The nice thing about the barricades is even if someone blows a barricade up a little bit, if you aim at the corner that hasn't been blown up, you can still pick this back up. So I would almost change the Dome Shield here for something else and keep the barricades. But there's going to be a lot more diversity in this game mode. So Dome Shield is not going to be anywhere as near as necessary as it is in World Tour, nor the barricades. So you can go with like Frag Grenade and Gas Grenade. You can go with like Explosive Mine and Pyro Mine. Yeah, mines would probably... Explosive mines might not be bad because you do have 2 of those at least, so that might be good. So maybe something like explosive mines and barricades. It's kind of up to you, but in general, I like using things that have like 1 or like 2 uses instead of just the 1. So explosive mines and barricades both have 2 uses, so I would rather have those than like gas grenades or something. So I think that is what I would have in this game mode. Maybe even motion sensors might be alright in this game mode, I'm not too sure. But yeah, something like that. I would stay away from... Honestly, I would stay away from Dome Shield. You only have 1 use and you can destroy them so quickly that only having 1 of them really isn't going to provide a whole lot. C4, I would stay away from it. I still don't think it's that powerful. Flashbang, I'd stay away from that. And then I think you're good to kind of go with whatever else you want. I'd stay away from the anti-gravity cube as well, maybe. I don't think that's going to offer so much in this game mode when you only have 1 use for it. So, now that we've covered the heavy and the light, we're going to talk about the medium. First thing I'm going to say is don't play medium in this game mode. Light's, like, definitely the meta for ranked. And heavy is okay. Heavy is an okay choice in ranked. You can go with them if you want. Medium, there's really not a lot of point in playing, because if you look at the way we've set the medium up for World Tour, we have the healing beam, which is very, very powerful in assisting your teammates. We have the defibrillator, which is very, very powerful in assisting teammates. And then we have the zipline, or the jump pad, which is just super nice for movement. And you're not going to have any of these things in this game mode. You're not going to have healing beam because you can't heal, which means you're limited to either the dematerializer or the guardian turret, and neither of those are fantastic. Defibrillator you can't have because you can't revive people, so this is just going to have to be some other random thing. And then you can have the zipline still, but you only have 1 use of it. So there's really not going to be a whole lot of point in that. So instead of this, like, nice kind of team assisting loadout being what you're going to use, you're probably going to end up with something like this. And if you see the way this is set up, this is basically going to be the same loadout that you could put on a heavy, but the heavy has 100 more HP. Or you could put this on a light, but the light's going to be much easier at evading people or staying hidden. So you're just going to be able to do much more as the light or heavy. I really would just stay away from medium. Like, yes, they have Guardian Turret, and yes, they have the Dematerializer, but neither of those are really going to be that game-changing. The only thing that would be game-changing is the healing beam, but obviously you can't use that in the game mode, so I really genuinely would just stay away from medium. Medium now is what lights kind of used to be like at World Tour. They used to just kind of suck, and I think right now in ranked, medium is the class that's kind of sucks instead, because healing beam is just the best specialization for them, and they don't have access to it. The defibrillator is going to be their best gadget, and now they're not going to have access to it, and then zipline or jump pad are going to be super useful, and you're only going to have 1 of them, so there's really not much point in using that. So I would just stay away from them. I've talked about the gadgets, so I've talked about the healing beam. Yeah, so for the gadgets, you know, you can go with APS turret if you want. The only thing I would stay away from would be the glitch traps, the flashbangs, and the jump pad and the zipline, and the data reshaper, and then you can kind of put whatever else you want on here. For the weapon, AKM is still going to be pretty solid. Maybe the CL40 has some more use in this mode because splash damage might be useful. So yeah, so AKM, CL40, and then revolver or model 18D7 is what I would go for this for ranked. That's going to be the same in World Tour, minus the CL40. I think the CL40 is just going to have a little bit more use in this game mode. But in general, I just wouldn't use medium. You're going to have a much better time as light or heavy, I would think. And yeah, so light for this game mode is going to be S tier. Heavy is going to be like B tier, and then medium is going to be either C or D tier. It's like not going to be that good at all in this game mode. So yeah, there you go. There's all the loadouts that I think that you should probably be using in both World Tour and in the ranked game mode. So yeah. Thank you so much for watching, ladies and gentlemen. That is going to be it for this video. If you liked it, leave a like, subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Farewell.